First thing I'm going to do is make a fold of about 1.5 inch at the edge there of the pattern paper, and this would be the placket that would host the buttons. You can make it as wide as you want. If you want yours to be smaller, maybe 1 inch, and if you want it to be wider, 2 inches. But for this particular shirt, I'll be making it 1.5 inch. Next, I'm going to go ahead to draw a line at the center of the placket. So that will be about 2 cm, and that line is where I'm going to be taking all the measurements from. So that will be the new center front line. Please note that we're taking this measurement on fold. So I'm going to go ahead with the neckline, and I'm taking 3 inches width and 3.5 inches depth. Next, I'm going to take the shoulder width and divide it by 2, and I'm just going to place that at the top there, about 1 inch from the top, and I'll mark it out. Next, I'll go ahead with the armhole length, and I'm picking 8 inches for this client. I'll go ahead and look for the middle of the armhole length, which is 4 inches, and I'll take it in by 1 cm to give this kind of shape. At this point, I'll go ahead to measure the half length and the full length, and I'm taking 16 inches and 26.5 inches for the full length. Now I'll go ahead to mark out the dart line, and I'm taking a width of 4.5 inches from the new center front line and a length of 8 inches, 4 inches at the top and 4 inches below the half length line. And I'm taking a width of the dart of 2 cm, 1 cm to the left and 1 cm to the right of the dart line. I'll go ahead to mark out the round measurements divided by 4 because the pattern is cut on fold, and I'll do the bust divided by 4. I'll place that at the bust line, and then I'll go ahead to do the waist divided by 4. But before putting that down, I'm going to add back the 2 cm we took for the darts, and I'll do the upper hip divided by 4 and place that down too and connect the lines. Next step is to shaping the bottom of the shirt to give it the shirt look. I'm going to go ahead to measure 2.5 inches at the corner there and connect it to the rest of the hem. Next, I'll go ahead and add seam allowances all around the shirt. At the bottom there, I'm taking 1 inch because I'll be folding that in. At the side, I'll be taking 1.5 inches for seam allowance, and at the remaining parts of the shirt, I'll just be taking 1 cm seam allowance. I didn't take any seam allowance at the shoulder there because I would still be cutting the top part of the shoulder out, and you're going to see that when we're cutting out the back piece. Next thing I'm going to do is to align the new center front line, which is the black line on the placket there, with the pattern paper that I would be using for the back piece. So I want the black line to be on the same plane as the center back, and this is so that by the time we finish folding in the placket, the front piece and the back piece would be the same width. So at this point, I'll be going ahead to make the yoke of the shirt. The yoke of the shirt is the way the back piece, the shoulder of the back piece comes over the front piece. It's a little bit complicated, but I'm going to try my best to explain this. So please, you should pay attention to this area. So first thing I did was to trim out the bottom and the sides of the back piece to match with the front piece, because the front and the back piece, their patterns are almost the same apart from the placket area and the shoulder area. So the dart would automatically translate to the back also. So after doing that, I'll just go ahead to take out 1 inch at the shoulder of the front piece. So I'm taking out 1 inch, and I'm also going to add a seam allowance of 1 cm. I'll go ahead to take out the 1 inch that we marked out, and then what I'm going to do is to complement for that using the back piece. So I'm just going to draw out the normal length for the back piece, and then I'm going to turn it over on top of the front piece so I can get that part that would complement for the front piece, the part of the shoulder that would complement for the front piece. And I'm just going to trace out the normal shape that is supposed to have at the armhole and at the neckline. Now I'm going to go ahead to mark out the 1 inch for the front piece, and then I'll just take off the rest of the pattern paper. And then after that, I'll just go ahead to mark out the neckline of the back piece, and I'll be taking 1 inch for the neckline of the back piece. So you can at this point see the benefits of folding the pattern paper from the back piece over the front piece before cutting it out, because the shoulder area is not straight. It has a slanty kind of shape at the top, and at the sides it's a bit triangular. So this is what we have now. At this point, I'll just do the back neckline. Now I'll just go ahead to cut the pattern on fabric, and I'm going to make sure to open up the placket of the front piece before cutting, so I don't end up cutting the fabric short. Now I'll just go ahead to start sewing, and first thing I'm going to do is to join the shoulders together. Next thing to do is to take the front piece and fold in the placket area. So we marked out 1.5 inches for that, and by the time we're done sewing it in, we should have 1 inch. So in order to fold it into 1 inch, first I'll fold it by half an inch before then going ahead to fold it by 1 inch. So this is what I have now after folding in the placket that would have the buttons and joining the shoulder. So what I'm going to do now is to mark out the darts from the pattern paper and then go ahead to sew it. So I went ahead to sew the darts for the front and the back pieces, so 4 darts in total. Now I'm going to go ahead with the collar, and the first thing I'm going to do is to measure the neckline of the shirt, which will also be the length of the collar. And after measuring, I have 18.5 inches. So I'll take the length of the neckline, which is 18.5 inches in my case, and divide it by 2, giving me 9.25 inches. And I'll just place that on my pattern paper and mark it out. So I'll go ahead and extend that point up by 2 cm and then connect it to the rest of the measurement. And I just wanted to say that this is the collar stand that we're making first. Then when we're done with making the collar stand, we'll go ahead to make the rest of the collar. Here I'm just cross-checking if I have the same 9.25, so I'll just mark the 9.25 again in its curved form. Next, I'm going to go ahead to mark out 1 inch for the height of the collar stand, and this is me just joining all the 1 inch high dots to make the collar stand. Next, instead of leaving the corner sharp like that, I'll just go ahead to curve it out so it will have that collar shape. So I have my collar stand now. I'll get my pattern paper so I can cut out the rest of the collar. So I'll flip the collar stand so that I can use the top part of the collar stand to measure the bottom of the remaining half of the collar. Now you can see how the two lines are mirroring each other. Now I'm going to go ahead with the collar and I'm going to subtract 1 inch from it. I'll go ahead to extend it by 8 cm and 0.5 inch, that's half an inch, to give it the collar shape. And at the center there, I'm going to extend it by 4 cm. I'll go ahead to use this to cut out the gum stay, and I'll cut it on fold, and I'm going to cut out 2 pieces for each. Then after that, I'm going to go ahead to gum this to my fabric, and while gumming it to the fabric and cutting it out, I'm going to cut out 1 cm seam allowance around it. So I'll go ahead to start sewing the collar. I'll start with the 2 top pieces, and I'm going to put them right side facing each other, and I'm going to sew along the edges. I'm going to sew only the top and the sides by the 1 cm that we took for allowance, and I'm going to notch it and turn it inside out and give it a good press, iron it flat so we can continue to join it to the collar stand. I'm going to make sure that I get the middle of each of these pieces so I can place them together properly. So how I'm going to join this is that first I'm going to take the 2 pieces of the collar stand and make sure that they're facing right side, they have right side facing each other, and then I'm going to put the collar in between the 2 collar stands. At the center, I'll make sure I centralize both of them, and then I'm going to sew. So this is what I have now. I sewed the sides and the top, and the top contains the collar also. I'm just going to go ahead to notch this so it can be flat and then turn it inside out. Now I can join the collar to the rest of the shirt, and I'm going to go ahead to sew one side of the collar to the shirt and then use the other side of the collar to top stitch it onto the shirt. And here I'm just trying to get the middle of the shirt and the middle of the collar so I can sew both of them together accurately. This is a two-piece collar, and I have another collar tutorial up on my channel which is a one-piece collar. So if you're interested in that, I'm just going to link it in this video so you can go ahead to check that out later. So this is what I have now after I'm done with the collar. Now I'll just go ahead to attach the sleeves. So I wasn't able to give a detailed tutorial on this shirt sleeve because I really didn't want this video to be too long because of how much details it is to actually make the sleeve. So I'm going to make a tutorial on this, and it is going to be the next video on my channel. So if you want to see that, make sure to turn on your post notifications so you don't end up missing it. So after attaching the sleeves, I'm going to go ahead to join the sides. Remember, we took 1.5 inch for the body of the shirt as seam allowance, so I'm going to go ahead to sew the sides with the 1.5 inch we took for seam allowance, and then after that I'll go ahead to fold the bottom hem of the shirt, and after that we're done with the shirt. So this is the final product. You can now go ahead to create your buttonholes and the button to complete the shirt. I hope this tutorial was helpful. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, please don't forget to hit the subscribe button, like this video so it gets recommended to others, share to someone you think might need this video, and leave a comment down below. Thank you, and I'll see you in my next video.